How did you get your scars? I have a scar on my eyebrow from when I was a butthole 4-year-old. I threw a tantrum and tried to pick up a small plastic kid's table to throw it over my head. Instead I dropped it. The leg hit me with a sharp broken edge on the eyebrow eye. I started bleeding, and I had a black eye for Christmas. I was a terrible toddler. Toddlers are tiny drunk people. I was making a paper plate mask in grade 3 and stuck a pair of scissors through the plate for eyes, right into my other hand. I have like 5 or 6 deep ones in both eyebrows from hockey, and hair doesn't grow there very well, so they look all weird. Same thing happened to me, but I faceplanted the rim of a soda can. I work in HVAC. Sheet metal has a way of getting under your skin. I was 4. I was bouncing on a beach ball. My mom told me to go upstairs to bed, so I thought I could bounce up the stairs on the beach ball. I missed the first step and got stitches in my forehead. That's kid logic for ya. When I was 15 I had keyhole surgery for appendicitis. 3 barely noticeable scars, one of which is in my belly button. Unfortunately, something was left inside me, and the morning after being discharged I woke with a fist-sized cyst on my abdomen. I had gone septic and had to have whatever was left inside of me removed via non-keyhole surgery, which left me with a neat straight-lined scar about 12 centimeters long. Also had to have a drain into my lower abdomen, so I've got a big ol' hole about 6 centimeters below my belly button. Unsightly as heck. My wife had to get laparoscopic hysterectomy last year. She has 3 tiny little scars just below her belly button line. Pretty amazing what the doctor did, but she was really graphic describing how she had my wife's bowel out during the procedure. Thanks, doc, I guess. I have a pretty noticeable scar on the right side of my neck that often gets mistaken for a really bad hickey. The story I tell everyone because I'm sick of explaining is that I was stabbed in the neck with a knife. The real story is that when I was 5, I had been scratched in my eye from one of our house cats while I was asleep. The scratch had infected lymph nodes in my neck, causing it to become extremely swollen, where it was difficult for me to even breathe. Doctors were baffled by what it was, where I spent several weeks, months in and out of the hospital. They speculated it was lymphoma at the time. I had my neck drained from the fluid from massive syringes that I still have nightmares over, and also have a paralyzing fear of needles. The scar ultimately came from me undergoing 3 separate surgeries where they removed infected lymph nodes from my neck, and late discovered I suffered from a very severe case of cat scratch fever. Yes, it's a Ted Nugent song. And yes, it also my anthem. Severe acne. Same. Got shingles on my face as a teenager. Do not recommend. The bonus though is that the scar kind of looks like a love heart. I got shingles my junior of high school. I'm 25 now. To this day, there's still a part of my lower side region where I can't feel anything. Catching a peacock. They have sharp talons. Mine's from catching a turkey when I was 10. Looks like I tried to cut my own wrist. Birds are jerks. My brother and I were playing WWE in the house. Even though we weren't supposed to, he grabbed the back of my head and slammed my forehead into the turnbuckle, which was the wooden corner of the armrest on our couch. Blood started running down my face. He ran and hid under his bed. I got 7 stitches in my eyebrow. He didn't mean to hurt me, just got a little too into the game. I have what I lovingly refer to as Jesus scars. When I was 13, I was trying to pry something apart with a chisel and stabbed myself in the right hand by accident. When I was 23, I was using my box cutter at work to separate some boxes and cut my left hand in almost the exact same place. Can't wait to see what stupid thing I do at 33. I'd buy some thick-soled shoes. Cut my ankle while shaving. It didn't hurt, so I didn't even realize until I looked down and saw myself standing in a river of my own blood. I was mauled by a chipmunk when I was 7. My family once went to a national park with enormous sequoia trees. While we were there, little 7-year-old me discovered a group of chipmunks. What do you call a group of chipmunks? A herd? A flock? Running through the woods like some kind of wolf pack. I was running alongside them, imagining myself as the alpha of this wolf chipmunk pack, when one suddenly broke away from the group and ran inside of a fallen log. Me. Being the little kid I was, wanted to hold the adorable chipmunk. So I first tried putting my hand inside to pull it out. No luck. I only scared the chipmunk into a little dead-end hole inside of the log. So then I did something extremely intelligent. I took a stick and tried to poke it down the hole. A tiny, chubby bullet of hate and sharp claws leapt at my face. I almost lost my eye to that chipmunk, but luckily it missed and scratched me pretty deep along the right side of my face multiple times instead. I still have a scar on the corner of my eye from it. LMAO. Pro tip: don't try to corner any wild animal, if that wasn't obvious before. That's too stupid to not be true. 1. Needle piercing my cheek during mother's labor. 2. Forceps tore the ish out of my face. 3. Flint rock on my bare foot at 3. Many stitches. 4. Face smash. Concrete. 5. Chicken pox. 6. Lawnmower muffler. 7. Angry rabbit. You are probably the most interesting guy at the braai. I have a big scar down the center of my chest, and 2 little star scars right under it. I had just turned 3 and I was at my grandparents' house with my family. My older cousin was spinning me around in a swivel chair. I fell off of the chair and landed on my side, on top of my grandmother's knitting stuff that was sitting in a basket by the chair. A knitting needle went through my side and pierced my heart. My aunt thought the needle was just caught in my shirt and ripped it out of me. I went unconscious almost immediately. By time I got to the hospital, I had lost a lot of blood and the doctors basically told my parents to prepare for the worst. Luckily, there was a badass heart surgeon there that performed emergency open heart surgery and saved my life. The star scars are from feeding tubes that were hooked up to me post-surgery. Very thankful. Yoink. You-hop. I have a burn scar on my right arm from when I worked at Chick-fil-A and got too careless with the fry cooker. Also a surgical scar on my left thigh from age 3 when I had to get an operation fix a muscle problem. I got shot in the face during a carjacking. Bullet went in about an inch in front of my ear, through my cheekbone, through my sinus and maxilla bone, then hit the mass of bone in the roof of my mouth and stopped. The ballistic energy from the round caused it to blow about a 50-cent piece coin-sized hole through the roof of my mouth. And a combination of the blood pouring out and gravity caused the bullet to fall into my mouth from where it came to a stop in the bone right above it. I ended up spitting it out on the ground thinking it was a tooth. Didn't realize it was the bullet until a doctor at the hospital told me it wasn't a tooth I spit out because I didn't lose any teeth. Wish I had that bullet now though TBH. Seriously, just imagine the dude's freaking look when you spit out the bullet he just shot you with. 11 surgeries. I was born with prune belly syndrome. Got chronic kidney disease at 6 months old. Mostly through unfiltered stupidity and youth. 1 or 2 of them from mosquito bites that I itched way too much. I have 1 from a fire ant bite. Those suckers are evil. I got windmilled by a panicking Shiba Inu before I could clip her nails. I've worked with perhaps dozens of pit bulls, and my one dog related scar came from a Shiba Inu small enough to be carried with 1 arm. I've forgiven her, though. She's a sweetheart in her own way. Shiba Inu can be like the weird antisocial cats of the dog world, except when it's time to clip nails or have a bath. Same, but with my kitten. Also found out I'm prone to having keloids raised scars when my eldest cat went ballistic after seeing a stray in the backyard, so now I have a raised scar on each arm from each crazy cat. 2 scars on my left arm, on my wrist from a bicycle wreck, on my bicep from when my arm was blown open by a homemade pipe bomb. I was working a sketchy, under-the-table semi-truck washing job. This job is typically done on a weekend when the trucks are home, usually on an unsupervised lot or farm. A person we worked with, Person A, loved pranks. Their favorite was to stuff some Piccolo Pete fireworks into a plastic 2-liter bottle and toss it at someone. Being plastic, the bottle would melt and just make a super loud bang, scaring the crap out of someone. Well, Person A had someone working him. Person B also loved pranks and tried to mimic Person A's prank, but with PVC pipe instead of a plastic bottle. What cold wrong? Person A tossed it my way. How neither of them knew PVC pipe would frag out instead of melt is beyond me. So I'm washing this truck wheel when out of nowhere I get flashbanged Call of Duty style. Loud bang. Vision went white, and all I could hear was ringing. I remember screaming what the frick, but not because I heard myself say it, because I felt my vocal cords vibrating so hard. Anyways, I come to, and my arm is just red. Completely red. I try to spray it off, but my boss is shit and spewing water everywhere. My buddy nearby was also coming to and saw what happened, so now we're both in panic mode. I end up getting rinsed off, and I can see into the muscle of my arm. We get a towel wrapped around it, and get me to the hospital. The wound itself was somewhat of a lightning bolt shape, like Harry Potter's scar, or the Metroid logo, so the doctor had to cut out the jagged inside to create a clean hole to stitch up. Freaking gnarly. 8 stitches. Being a stupid 19-year-old with no money or understanding of how a lawsuit would work, I didn't want to make a huge deal out of it and told person A, you either pay for all of this and we leave it at that, or I sue the crap out of you. They paid all my medical expenses, and we left it at that. And 6 years later, the story lives on through Reddit. I backed my arm up against a barbecue grill when I was younger. I was the perfect height to get my entire upper arm, elbow up to shoulder. I still have noticeable scars 20 odd years later. Boomerang. Right on the elbow. Got it protecting my mother from being hit. Unfortunately, the scar wasn't big and faded away. I couldn't make this up if I tried. The scar will come back eventually. PFFF. Where to start? A hook in my knee because while I was running towards the long jump line, the teacher thought that the pit wasn't raked enough and placed the rake into the pit. I couldn't stop until I had the rake in my knee. 9 surgeries to my hand. Scars are on every finger except my thumb, on my upper hand, palm and wrist. A thumb-size bald patch on my head because I was running backward to catch a ball and tripped. Head landed on road. After bleeding stopped, I had a speed skating match that same day. I won the race, but at the end of the straight was a volunteer trying to slow down the speed skaters, but he ended up performing a perfect WWE move on my. He extended his arm. My speed was that high that I lost balance. Legs up and again head on the asphalt. 2 scars on my lower abdomen. Had an artery running through by ball sack which caused pain. Got removed from the sack and has been placed through lower abdomen. Creme de la creme. A young girl accidentally kicked me in the nuts while she was swimming underwater and I was throwing a ball. Long story short, ended up with a split testicle capsula that sits around the testicle. Sorry to hear about all your scars, but wow, you must be the most interesting guy at a party. Jumped off a longboard going down a hill. I should have tightened the trucks. Fell face first onto a sharp corner of a table. That's how I got my anime scar on my nose. I made M myself. I only have 1 scar left from those days, but oddly all the ones on my thighs, lots of them are pretty much gone, and one on my stomach from 2 years ago is still very visible and is a bump. Then there's one on my inner forearm from my pet rabbit who decided he had enough of me grooming him and launched off my arm. Scars on my hands, back, legs, wrists, arms, and neck are all self-inflicted over 10 plus years or so. Doing okay now. Scar on my forehead is from when I ran into a slide at 5 and needed stitches. Dime-sized scar on my chest from when I was a baby and stopped absorbing nutrients through my stomach and they had to put a TPN line in to give me nutrients straight to my heart and bloodstream. I had a section and then a breast reduction. Nothing fancy. I prefer to say I had a few humans cut out of me. I wore glasses with a plastic frame all the time during one summer. Now I have small, yet visible, burns on the sides of my nose. I had scoliosis correction surgery, a spinal fusion, when I was 13. I'm emotionally scarred by my parents. Does that count? Of course. I hope you're better now. Ben Carson looked at my brain. Had craniosynostosis when I was born and he went in to put some bolts in my head. 152 stitches across the top of my head. His politics are whack, but dude saved my life. Some razor blades that I used. Don't worry, I'm fine now. I used to be there too. Proud of you. An idiot with a .38 who doesn't know basic range safety. One on the inside of my thigh when I had a small bicycle accident where I managed to get my thigh stuck between my steer handle and handbrake. with a handbrake thing stabbed into my leg. Also one on my ankle, which I got from ice skating in high school. We were standing on the ice, eating and drinking something when someone who was passing by fell and slid past me, slicing my leg open. And another one on the inside of my arm close to my armpit, which I got from a small zipline accident. One of the ropes got stuck on my arm while going down, so it burned a nasty wound into my arm. I have a scar on the arm that is really hard to see, but I remember how I got it. When I was going out of the shower, my mom told me to wash myself better because there was still some soap on me. When I finished, I was angry and slid the glass door too hard. It broke. I was young, so I was screaming like a dying goat Lameo, but I was pretty smart, so I protected my head with arms, and that's how I got the scar, son. I fell off my bike and the bike chain cut my foot open. That wasn't even descriptive, but I still felt that one in my foot. I was tired after flying home. It was like 4 AM. I was making a waffle in the toaster and then I sort of blacked out for a bit. Next thing I know, the toaster is on around my arm. I stuck my arm in the toaster. I have this nice scar now around my wrist from the time I horribly failed at making a waffle. Oh boy, I was afraid of ever hearing this question. Quite embarrassing actually. About when I was 10, I had Christmas lights in my room and these were just ordinary tree lights. So one night the tape fell off and for about a week they just lied there on my floor next to my bed. One night I was sleeping and I fell off my bed and my right arm fell on on the Christmas wire right on a light. The next morning I noticed that a small portion of my skin is missing and yellow gunk is coming out. I didn't think much of it, so I told my mom and she freaked and went on to tell me how bad it was and the frick a Christmas light burned me this bad. So she put a band-aid on it till my dad came home from work and he just looked at it and said, "If you're going to burn yourself, don't do it with a Christmas light." After telling me those wise words, he cleaned it up with some alcohol and left the dead hanging skin on, and then put a band-aid on it. To this day I have a small skittle-sized burn mark on my right arm that my friends and family make fun of me for, and I fully endorse the joke as the way I got this mark was freaking stupid. My brother and I were making spears to go fishing, and as I was sharpening the point I sliced my thumb wide open straight down the middle. I was an adventurous, risk-taking adolescent male. Also I play drums, and here I sit, 40 something and still playing drums. Still cracking knuckles on rims. I cut into my finger instead of the onion. I was forced to be in a room full of people and clutching my cat for comfort. What I forgot was that my cat also has social anxiety and she bolted from my arms, caught her back claws down my chest. It was 2 years ago and I still have a long scar. It's a good 4 or 5 inches, running from my collarbone halfway down my breast. My favorite one is from my husband's cat. My husband, we were only dating at the time, and I had just moved in together a couple of days prior, and he warned me that his cat was going to be difficult. He was right. I had burned the pee out of myself making dinner the night before and had a blister on the side of my hand, near my wrist. The cat, who I'll call AXL, was being sweet and rubbing up against me while I sat on the floor getting ready to put my clean, folded laundry away. AXL had not even so much as acknowledged me in the 2 days we had lived together, so I was happy at the sudden attention. I decided to take a picture to send to my husband and got up to grab my phone. I was petting AXL and took a couple of pictures when he presented his belly to me. In cat speak, that means he feels comfortable enough to be vulnerable around you. Only this was a trap, and as I went to pet the belly, I was immediately caught in the feline four-claw death trap. As I attempted to free my hand, AXL decided it was time for a full attack and he ripped open my freshly burnt skin. As an added bonus, during the time I was gone, in order to clean the wound and stop the bleeding, AXL peed on all of my clean, folded laundry. He also peed on my dirty laundry and all further laundry he found that didn't smell of my husband for the first week and a half we lived together. Less than a year later he passed away. I was the only one with him and I stayed with him as he drew his last breath. He had eventually come around and would often cuddle with me rather than my husband. I miss that cat. I'm crying now just thinking about him. I'm happy to have a reminder of him permanently on my body. You have been visited by the snake of great corn. You will be blessed with corn for eternities to come, but only if you comment "corn me up." Snake, if you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.